millions of young people grow up in the sunlight of opportunity. But that is another America. And this other America has a daily ugliness about it that transforms the buoyancy of hope into the fatigue of despair. In this other America, millions of people find themselves walking the streets in search for jobs that do not exist. In this other America, millions of people are forced to live in dilapidated, substandard housing conditions where they do not have wall-to-wall carpet, but where they all too often have wall-to-wall rats and roaches. In this other America, thousands of young people finish college or high school rather every year reading at an 8th grade or 9th grade level, not because they are dumb, not because they don't have native intelligence, but because the schools are so inadequate, so overcrowded, so devoid of quality, so segregated, if you will, that the best in these minds can never come out. And I guess the most critical problem in the other America is the economic problem. For in this other America we find some 40 million of our brothers and sisters perishing on a lonely island of poverty in the midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. Unemployment is still wide in the black community, and I need not pause to give the figures. They are before us every day. Now, unemployment is not the only problem. Underemployment is just as great or even greater. For most of the poverty-stricken people in our country are working every day, but they are making wages so inadequate that they cannot begin to function in the mainstream of the economic life of the nation. They are working, in many instances, full-time jobs for part-time income. Now, because of this economic deprivation, that is a great deal of bitterness, a great deal of despair, a great deal of anger on the part of millions of people in the other America. Somehow we must find the causal basis. Everybody knows that, or who knows me, knows that I'm committed to nonviolence, and I still believe that nonviolence is the most potent weapon available to the Negro in his struggle for freedom and justice. But it is not enough for me to say that. It is not enough for one to stand up and condemn a riot. It is just as necessary for people of goodwill and concern to vigorously condemn the intolerable conditions that continue to exist in our society.
Even while President Johnson talked to Chancellor Klaus about America's responsibility in a time of crisis and challenge, word came from Capitol Hill that Congress had passed and sent to the White House the Civil Rights Act of 1968. Included in the measure was a landmark open housing bill, which, when fully effective, would forbid discrimination in approximately 80% of all housing offered for rent or for sale in the United States.
I do not exaggerate when I say that the proudest moments of my presidency have been times such as this, when I have signed into law the promises of a century. I shall never forget that it is more than 100 years ago when Abraham Lincoln issued the Emancipation Proclamation. But it was a proclamation, it was not a fact. And in the Civil Rights Act of 1964, we affirmed through law that men equal under God are also equal when they seek a job, when they go to get a meal in a restaurant, or when they seek lodging for the night in any state in the Union. And now the Negro families no longer suffer the humiliation of being turned away because of their race. In the Civil Rights Act of 1965, we affirmed through law for every citizen in this land the most basic right of democracy, the right of a citizen to vote in an election in his country. In the 5 states where the act had its greater impact, Negro voter registration has already more than doubled. Now with this bill, the voice of justice speaks again. It proclaims that fair housing for all human beings who live in this country is now a part of the American way of life. We all know that the roots of injustice run deep, but violence cannot redress a solitary wrong or remedy a single unfairness. And we just must put our shoulders together and put a stop to both. The time is here. Action must be now.
What is Section 3? It is a means by which HUD fosters local economic development, neighborhood economic improvement, and individual self-sufficiency. Section 3 is the legal basis for providing jobs for residents and awarding contracts to businesses in areas receiving certain types of HUD financial assistance. Under Section 3 of the HUD Act of 1968, wherever HUD financial assistance is expended for housing or community development, to the greatest extent feasible, economic opportunities will be given to Section 3 residents and businesses in that area. Section 3 Policy. Congress established the Section 3 policy to guarantee that the employment and other economic opportunities created by federal financial assistance for housing and community development programs should, if possible, be directed toward low and very low-income persons, particularly those who are recipients of government assistance for housing. Who are Section 3 residents? Section 3 residents are public housing residents, low and very low-income persons who live in the metropolitan area or non-metropolitan county where a HUD-assisted project for housing or community development is located. Determining income levels. Low income is defined as 80% or below the median income of that area. Very low income is defined as 50% or below the median income
Section
of that
3 has been a
area.
resource to many contractors who have joined the agency's initiative to completely rejuvenate 100% of its portfolio, or nearly 6,400 homes, all throughout the city.
A business That is at least 51%.
Shortly after the inauguration of HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Initiative, HACEP immediately launched into the effort, quickly becoming the first, largest RAD converting agency in the country. The result was an explosion of construction through the city of El Paso, resulting in Section 3 has been a resource to many contractors who have joined the agency's initiative to completely rejuvenate 100% of its portfolio, or nearly 6,400 homes all throughout the city. Shortly after the inauguration of HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Initiative, HACEP immediately launched into the effort, quickly becoming the first, largest RAD converting agency in the country. The result was an explosion of construction through the city of El Paso, resulting in Section 3 has been a resource to many contractors who have joined the agency's initiative to completely rejuvenate 100% of its portfolio, or nearly 6,400 homes all throughout the city. Shortly after the inauguration of HUD's Rental Assistance Demonstration Initiative, HACEP immediately launched into the effort.
What is at the heart of Section 3 is jobs. Section 3 is an opportunity for work and to receive preference in bidding on work that is funded by HUD to produce housing all across the nation. This has been going on for 42 years, ever since 1968, when Congress passed the 1968 Housing and Urban Development Act. That act is what created the Department of Housing and Urban Development, known as HUD. HUD puts out billions of dollars every year and has done so for the 42 years that it's been in existence to fund through recipient agencies various types of housing projects and developments. There are many levels of work within HUD-funded projects. There are many levels of economic opportunity. Under Section 3, contractors who are certified as Section 3 business concerns have the opportunity to receive preference in their bids. Section 3 is not a giveaway program. Section 3 requires competition. You still have to compete, you still have to bid, and your pencil needs to be sharp. For a percentage of the dollars, the project dollars of any project, they are tied to Section 3, and contractors who are certified, they get preference until that dollar level is achieved. And it's approximately 10% of the value of the construction activity. There are many, many projects that are going on around you and have been for years that you know nothing about. Very few do. As you further listen and watch this DVD, you're going to hear from some of the contractors who've become a part of Section 3, who have gotten certification, who have learned about this work, and who will tell you and admit to you that they had no knowledge it was all of this Section 3 work.
You know, public housing is being threatened now more than it ever has before. And we all really have to stick together, and the way we stick together is by being informed. And as you get this information, you ought to pass it on to other people. Let's not just keep it to ourselves. Because the stronger we are and the more we organize, the more chance we have of saving our homes. Mr. Johnson is going to speak on the importance of Section 3. And he just found this out today that he was speaking, like 2 minutes ago. But he's always prepared.
Good morning, everyone. Does everyone in the audience know what Section 3 is? No. Section 3 is a part of the Civil Rights Act, 1968, where initially Kennedy was talking before he got assassinated with Martin Luther King and his people. Once he got assassinated, Martin Luther King thought that it was going to fall by the wayside, but Lyndon B. Johnson came on board, and he actually picked up the mantle, and they got Section 3. Section 3 is economic opportunities for low and very low income residents in the United States. There's 3 different facets of Section 3: training, jobs, and business opportunities. In New York City, in order to work construction, all you need is a 10-hour OSHA class. And if you get that 10-hour OSHA class, and you think about all of the resident leaders in the building, how many young kids you have walking around in your developments that's not really doing anything, pants sagging, doing whatever? $35 an hour is the prevailing wage. No high school diploma, no GED, just a 10-hour OSHA class. If you have more skills other than that 10-hour OSHA class, a 20-hour, a 30-hour, you have your other certificates, you can get upwards of $150, $200 an hour. But when we talk to the New York City Housing Authority about this, the Housing Authority gives preference to the unions. They don't give preference to our residents. And when you look at Section 3, the way we're drawn up, there's no preference given to unions. New York City Housing Authority signed the PLA, Project Labor Agreement, which is in violation of Section 3. They're not allowing our residents to work at the rate that they should be working. Now, Section 3 is for any federal money in the United States. When the Verrazano Bridge was built, if $200 million was private money and 1 cent was federal money, the whole entire dollar amount Section 3 applies to. So one of the things that I've been fighting with NYCHA about was, yes, one of the things I've been fighting with NYCHA about is to not only worry about Section 3 when it comes to New York City Housing Authority, but implement Section 3 for every contract in the United States, especially in New York City, where there's federal monies allocated to it. It's the law, it should be done. If they're coming to your development and you're a president and you're a relatively new president, you don't understand what Section 3 is, when they have that pre-start meeting, make sure you first and foremost get a copy of the contract. When you get a copy of the contract, you read that contract thoroughly. Don't let them give you a copy of that contract the day of the meeting. Make sure they give you that contract before the meeting so you can thoroughly read through it and familiarize yourself with it. Make sure you fight for these jobs for your residents. I remember I went to a development and the contractor said, I'm not going to hire anybody. I really don't know about Section 3. I said, I don't want you to believe me. Do your research. I gave him the paperwork. He went online. He did his research. The very next meeting, he hired 19 residents from that development. There's so many things that can be done under Section 3. So many things. If they come to your development and you feel that you don't want your residents to get jobs, you want your residents to get training so they can be skilled to make even more money in the work field. That Section 3 allocation can go towards training for your residents. If there's residents that have businesses, the New York City Housing Authority can partner with your residents that have businesses, resident-owned businesses. Now this might come as a shocker to most people, but legally, a resident-owned business can make up to $1 million a year for 3 years and still live in public housing. These are the things that they are not telling us. These are the things that we need to know. These are the things that we need to familiarize ourselves with. Simply go online and learn Section 3 and understand Section 3 so you can figure out how it works for you, how it works for your residents, how it works for your development, how it works for the city at large. Section 3 is very, very important, very important. And we need to know all facets of Section 3. We went to DC. Danny Barber and I and a few other people, we met with the Section 3 organizers, the people that run Section 3 from HUD, to familiarize ourselves more so we can learn more about Section 3. So these are the things that you need to do. Just remember, Section 3 is about jobs. You don't need a high school diploma or a GED. You need your 10-hour OSHA class. Prevailing wage, minimum wage for Section 3 in New York City is $35 an hour. If you want your residents to get training, you can have your residents get training, specialized training, where they don't have to pay for it. Section 3 pays for it. If you have any residents that own businesses, you can own one business and you can bid on another business. You can contract to work out and still make money. That's legal. You don't have to have a construction business to bid on construction. So you can have another type of business, you can bid on that, and if you awarded that contract, you can sub it out. But please make sure that you familiarize yourselves with Section 3 and understand and know what it is and how it can work for your residents. Thank you.
CHA hosted its first Section 3 symposium for residents and businesses interested in learning more about contracting and job opportunities with the authority and across the city of Chicago. In addition to workshops and speakers, staff announced a new $5 million initiative for 2016 to help resident-owned businesses expand and build capacity.
Section 3 is a HUD program for low-income residents and businesses, and CHA is committed to providing both job employment opportunities as well as contracting opportunities to our Section 3 community. And one of the reasons that we have the symposium today is to let our Section 3 community know that we are committed to them, and we have a $5 million initiative for contracting opportunities for 2016. We have a wealth of information that we are trying to let them know about the programs that we have and about our partners that are here to help them as well.
CEO Eugene Jones Jr. has prioritized the program as a way to help residents reach self-sufficiency and encourage them to look at a variety of contracting opportunities available in the city.
It's going to dispose of all those rumors and so forth, what Section 3 program is and what it's not. What I do want to challenge you individuals here is that Section 3 is not just for CHA. It's for any agency, which is the City of Chicago, Cook County, and so forth, who receive federal dollars, especially HUD dollars. That would be CDBG and home dollars. They have the same requirements on Section 3. Don't limit yourself just as CHA. Start expanding your horizon and demanding that you get a piece of what's out there in the City of Chicago.
For residents, the event was a welcome chance to ask questions of CHA's Department of Procurement and Contracts, identify contracting opportunities, and network with fellow business owners.
Well, I wanted to take that to the next level. I wanted to do business with the government now. So because I've been doing business with builders only, so now I'm taking my business to the next level. So this will help me a lot because I'm getting a lot of information how to do this stuff and make it easier rather than go and find out by myself.
So far, I love it. I think it's great. I've been to 2 classes. I've learned a lot. Knowledge I needed to know about Davis-Bacon Act, doing business with CHA. It's been good.
It's a great opportunity for a lot of entrepreneurs that lives in CHA. I think it's a great opportunity for us because a lot of times you don't get that information, and by them informing us and letting us know, I think it's a great idea.